Okay. Well, welcome everybody to this finance webinar, end of the year, something fun to be talking about. Some of us are in really cold places, some of us are not, Shauna. So we're happy that you're here. My name is Tammy, and I am the current events coordinator for the Pink Boots Canada chapter. So I kind of work with education and events, and so this is an educational event. So basically, we're going to be talking about finance. All the ladies that we have here gathered are business. Okay, so I am going to hand it over to Shauna and everyone else to sort of just introduce themselves and just sort of get the ball rolling with what we're doing here. So take it away.
Awesome. Thanks. Thank you, Tammy, so much. As Tammy mentioned, my name is Shauna Frederick. I am the co-founder of the Finance Cafe, and I'm super excited to be here with the Pink Boots community and our amazing panelists to share a conversation tonight that's not going to be about spreadsheets. I know you're all really disappointed about that. We really want to get into this topic about financial wellness. And when we talk about financial wellness at the Finance Cafe, we really mean confidence and clarity. It's this feeling of safety, security, your finances, both now and in the future. It's about knowing how your money's moving and really feeling grounded to help you make business decisions that support both your business and your life. We also know, and I want to acknowledge that every person here comes with different experiences, histories, and realities when it comes to money. There is no single path and no expectation that everyone's financial story will look the same. Financial decisions are not that influence access, opportunity, and resources. So just like in your craft that all of you do, financial wellness is really something that you can refine over time. You check in, we adjust, we learn, and we just keep going, right? Isn't that what we all do every day? So I want this to feel like a money chat over a pint. So if you're having a pint right now, good for you. If you have, something else, great. Let's just make this honest, helpful, and empowering. So maybe to kick us off in the chat, I would really love everyone to share one word that talking about money. And spoiler alert, there is no wrong answer. And honestly, you're probably going to discover that someone shares those same feelings. So just a quick brief intro about the Finance Cafe for those of you who haven't heard of us. Our work is really focused around increasing financial wellness and awareness for women entrepreneurs and the advisors that support them, so they can really begin closing both the access to capital gap, but to build stronger, more sustainable businesses. We do this through three pillars. Number one, we build connection through our online education platform where women can learn at their own pace, deepen their understanding about their numbers in a safe and supportive way. We then build a community through our social media platform where women really learn and, more importantly, share stories and really feel supported and seen. And then last but not least, and two of our panelists today have been on our 5-star rated podcast, the Finance Cafe podcast, where we bring forward real, honest stories, practical tools, and more importantly, insights about strengthening financial decisions. Really hearing about other women's lived experiences, I think help normalizes our own, right? We just kind of like to share and talk about, oh, you've been through the same thing. Oh, you experienced the same thing. Oh, I'm not the only one that doesn't know that. Guess what? You're not. We all don't know everything. So everything is really rooted around one belief at the Finance Cafe. Women deserve to feel safe, informed, and in control of their financial decisions, because financial wellness can open so many doors, increase access to financial capital, and overall create economic opportunity. So the women that you're here for, you're not here for me, you're here for this amazing panel. So the women joining us tonight are, really bringing lived experiences shaped by creativity, culture, community, and more importantly, courage. Their stories reflect the many different ways that financial wellness shows up in real life, and that there's no single right way to grow a business or navigate your financial world. We all know that there's not a single playbook to building a business, right? There's just not this, hey, I'm going to go to the library, go to Amazon, go check out this book called Let's Build My Business. Everything's going to be great. And storytelling is really a powerful form of knowledge. And tonight we really honor the wisdom that these women are going to share. So let's meet our panel. You don't want to hear from me anymore. So I'm going to kick us off. The first person that I see on my screen is Christina. So Christina is a bold and unapologetic force. She built XhAle as a queer women-owned brewery rooted in community, inclusion, and purpose. Her leadership truly shows that how staying true to your values can shape every part of your business. So Christina, please introduce yourself.
I think you've already done it there for me, Shauna. Thanks so much. We did get to sit for hours on your podcast, which was amazing. Yeah. So I've been in the industry for and opportunity presented itself in 2020. And after spending a decade having to leave myself at the door in craft brewing, I wanted to start something that where I didn't have to leave myself at the door. And starting up a craft brewing company as a queer immigrant woman in the midst of COVID with no family here has yes, has had its challenges for sure. Thanks.
No playbook on that one.
None.
Next up on my screen is Jen. Jen knows what it means to start a business and build it grain by grain. She left the corporate world, returned to school, and took the deep leap into brewing in her garage to opening Wild Winds Brewery. She's still working on opening her own brewery, which we'll talk about tonight, I'm sure. But her story truly reflects trust in her craft and the courage that it takes to make meaningful business and money decisions in real time. Jen, introduce yourself.
Hey there, I'm Jen Rogers, the Chief Awesome Officer and Brewer for Wild Winds Brewery. Yes, I gave myself a cool title because why not? I kind of wear all the hats with Wild Winds. We started contract. I always say we, and my husband always gives me the gears because he's like, it's not we, it's you. I started contract brewing 2022. We have signed a lease for a space in Calgary. It'll be 2 years in February. Still have a space, but we're hopeful that it'll work. I've kind of wear all the hats: sales, can label designer, bookkeeper, brewer. What else is there? I don't know. Everything. So that's me.
Everything. Isn't that the truth though? We always say we when really there's no we. It's me. It's you. Next up on my screen we have Tanya. Tanya is a trailblazer in the Canadian. If I'm not mistaken, you are one of the first female winemakers in the Lake Erie North Shore region, helping to grow Sprucewood Shores into a thriving family estate winery shaped by passion, experimentation, long-term vision, and a deep love for the land. Tanya, can you introduce yourself? And correct me if I got any of that wrong, please.
Yeah, I have to correct you. Actually, Lise LeBlanc was one of the first female winemakers in our region. She was around, 15 years before even I started. So she was definitely a pioneer. But I was the youngest. I have a title. I was like the youngest female winemaker in Ontario at one point, the whole province. So I've been in the business for 20 years now. I run the business with my two brothers, Steve and Jake. I'm the winemaker, and I guess you could say the mom of the shop. Yes, I'm the winemaker, so that is my main role. But I do take care of the finances. I have CFO, vice president, and winemaker as a title. When we first started, I was all the things like Jen said, like plumber, bookkeeper, retail store manager, of wedding coordinator, and winemaker. And now I really get to hone my skill on the winemaking and the finance side of the business. So thanks for having me.
Amazing. Today. Awesome. Thanks, Tanya. And last but certainly not least, we have Meghan, who is bringing the spirit of the North to our conversation tonight. Winterlong Brewing grew from years of home brewing into a successful Yukon craft brewery, powered by creativity, grit, and community. Her journey reflects truly what it means to build something resilient and unique in challenging markets. Meghan, please introduce yourself.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm Meghan. I co-own and operate Winterlong Brewing. We're in Whitehorse up in the Yukon. There's 3 breweries up here, so we're one of 3. We were the second to start, and as I think, Shauna, you alluded to, We started as home brewers, so no kind of formal education in brewing or really business for that matter. Yeah, we were home brewing for about a decade, and then we decided to take the leap and start our own little brewery. I call it a little brewery because we still had full-time jobs when we started. Over the past 10 years, we just celebrated our 10th anniversary. You know, we've grown and learned a lot. I just looked up the stats. We started brewing with like 200 hectoliters. Now we're at about 2,500. So we have to pay that higher excise fee now. And we started in about an 800 square foot space, and we moved into a 7,000 square foot space. So we've grown, I would say a short time, but yeah. And yeah, I manage kind of our front of house, our tasting room. I do all the social media, I do events, I brew when needed, especially on the Pink Boots brew days. I do a lot of our financial, like paying the bills and all that kind of stuff. So I wear a lot of hats for sure.
Amazing. Thank you, Megan, and thank you all for sharing a little bit about your stories. And I know we'll get into more of it, but what I hear from all of you is that, you know, it's about wearing all the hats, right? And sometimes it's where we slowly start to decrease the number of hats we're wearing. But as business owners, we often just have to wear the hats and do what we need to do in order. Because this is a financial wellness panel, I want to start with this idea, and I've tried to weave in, you know, some brewery and winemaking lingo in here. So let's begin with this idea of owning our pour. This financial wellness really begins with ownership. It means understanding our value, our numbers, and making decisions that really comes from a place that feels grounded as opposed to big pressure. Right? It's about feeling safe and in control of your business both now and into the future. So, Megan, I'm going to start with you. What does it mean to you to own your pour when it comes to your business and your money?
Yeah, I think for us, because we started so small, we kind of had this slow and steady growth, and any money we made, we kind of reinvested into the business initially to grow because we started so small. And we sacrificed a lot on the personal side for that. We didn't pay ourselves till 3 years kind of into our business. We had since, by then, we had quit our full-time jobs, obviously, because owning a brewery, even a small one, is a lot of work. We were a bit naive in that, but yeah, we hired staff, so we had to pay them. We couldn't pay ourselves. But then that 3-year mark came, and we got to pay finally, and that was important to us. So I feel like we've truly kind of earned our pour, as you say, over that time. And yeah, it's looking back, you know, we've accomplished a lot, and I'm really thankful for all that we put into it.
I love that, right? It was that 3-year mark that all of a sudden you're like, okay, we can now start paying ourselves. We can put our employees on benefits, right? I mean, that's sort of this tipping point of, okay, we have this business now and we can treat it as a business. Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Tanya, what about you? What does it mean to own your pour when it comes to your business and your money?
Well, I wish I could say it was 3 years for us. But I always kind of felt like we had, or I had control, you know. It was always felt like we were able to make our decisions as a team together. And we were willing to take those risks and reinvest back into our business. And yes, like same as Megan, like take those hits personally for a long time. In the wine industry, it's not 3 years, unfortunately. It's a lot longer with the intense capital and you know, the farming aspect, a lot of risk as well. So that was tough, and it still is. Sometimes you just feel like it's out of your control, and you really don't have a say. So what we've just tried to do is eliminate some of those levels of risk that are involved in the business over time. When we started, we adopted a 35 acre vineyard, and now we're only operating 7 because we've said, you know what, let's grow the production by growers and focusing a small lot production for high-end wines, and grow our production by, you know, kind of alleviating some of that risk level. Us doing that has made like a huge change for us and given us more confidence to grow. And investing in our hospitality side of our business has really boosted the ability to grow our production, because that's really generated a strong revenue stream, the hospitality with our weddings and events. So that's always kind of given us the confidence, I'd say. But yeah, like it took a long time, and yeah, right, we're finally able to invest in our employees, and that's why I'm able to be just making wine now, because I have such an amazing staff that I can trust, and it's taken years to get there. So
But what a scary decision, though, Tanya, when you say, okay, well, we started with 35 acres and this was the plan. And saying, we're going to scale this back. Like that must have been a really scary decision for you. But I mean, that, risk and reward paid off for it. So thanks for sharing that vulnerability. That's amazing. Christina, what about you? What does it mean to own your pour when it comes to your business and your money?
Well, because I've up until last year, and Lynn Hire in the call right now, he's one of our community loan holders and helps us out financially. I was in, for me, everything has run off my own personal credit. And, I didn't come into this with much at all. Actually, when I came into this, I didn't even know at the time that I had 2 social insurance numbers being stored by Equifax and TransUnion. One was my temporary foreign worker and one was my permanent residence. And they were running my credit off my temporary foreign worker for 5 more years than what they should have. And it took 6 months to get it changed. I only found this out about 2 years into the business, when CIBC finally gave me a business advisor after begging them for 18 months. And then I finally found out that way. To me, owning, we were able to get a microloan in that place through Momentum YYC, who are a poverty reduction organisation here in Calgary. And I'm going to toot my horn and say I'm pretty sure we're the only brewing company in Canada built from a microloan from a poverty reduction agency. And we just paid that off in October. So for me, it's like owning your own pour. It's literally come out of my back pocket and even beyond that. And I still work 3 extra jobs, work gig economy, live on low income to make this happen. I don't have a partner that supports me. I'm living alone again, and thankfully part of that own pour is we want into a company that's community owned and run and operated. If we don't have to, we'd rather not go to the banks and be able to, and it's not even just about ownership, it's about, everybody, no matter what you put into it, everybody gets a vote, but it's about diplomatic community and ownership process that everybody, where it's and it's a circular economy, and because I've never been able to rely on the banks, it's not been as part of my privilege card. And that's where thankfully we've had community members like Lynn, who is in this call, who have been able to step in and say, hey, yeah, you're equity deserving and you do deserve this, and I think we can help out here, so how do we get you there? And that for me is owning my pour, is like I poured everything and then some into this, and put it on the line, and then we're being able to do this for community and hopefully then be able to open up access to others who have been in my same situation.
Yeah, I love that, Christina, because there's really nothing linear about running your business or about your financial wellness or your financial story. It looks very different for everyone, right? And how we can then say, you know what, I'm going to do this and keep moving forward and finding the support systems out there. And the microloan through a poverty reduction company to start a business is an amazing way to start. So thank you for your vulnerability and sharing. Jen, what about you? What does it mean to own your pour when it comes to your business and your money?
I guess it's really like owning your own pour means like taking full responsibility for every ounce of our financial decisions. So where the money's coming from, where it goes, um, everything that comes to the finances. I'll be the first to admit it was never really my strong suit. I can design beer, I can brew it. That's easy peasy for me. Finances was never my strength. Until I took the course from the Finance Cafe. Hello. um, that definitely helped me a lot. And obviously, having a network of strong women who also have like strong financial backgrounds to lean on has definitely been helpful. Um, yeah. Our situation is a little bit different. Well, kind of similar to Christina's in the fact that we don't have our own space yet, but we're gonna get there, girl. I know we will. But yeah, like I currently contract brew, so significant roadblocks and some financial significant losses. Um, but one of the things that that's definitely we're persevering. We're trying to keep moving forward. Obviously, we're at the point now, like this will be, what did we start? 2019, I think we first started our first offer on a piece of property in Pitcher Creek. And now we're on our 2 years waiting for a lease. And yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with Wild Winds, but I'm definitely going to continue to contract brew. But we're really hoping that the tap room pans out. But there's definitely a lot of wins, losses along this road. But one thing that I do have to say I love about this community is that it is a community and everybody's out there to support you. So I do love that about the brewing world. So very grateful to have a lot of people in my corner. So yeah.
I love that, Jen, and that's something. I mean, I'm not a brewer, I'm an accountant. What do I know about brewing? But I love craft beer. And that's something that I've always found very interesting from the very beginning is this collaboration. And it's more of a community than competition. You know, it's all about collaboration over competition. And you know, something you said, Jen, about, you know, money wasn't my strong suit until you took our course. Thank you for shouting out our course. But I think as entrepreneurs, when we can treat money as an ingredient rather than an obstacle, we can really start to unlock that creativity and control. The same thing that you do with your brew, right? So it's looking at how we can you know, find the support systems around us. And you know what I love about the women-owned business movement in Canada. One last stat that I saw: 1 in 5 Canadian businesses are women-owned, and this is really something to celebrate. And at the same time, we know that many women are facing structural barriers accessing financing or investment, which we've talked about. And Owning Your Pour really recognizes both your power and the systems around you, which you all talked about. So appreciate that. I want to move on a little bit to, because when we talk about finances and financial wellness, the word confidence always comes to mind. Right, this invisible ingredient around confidence, because you've all shared, you know, really incredible examples of courage. And now I want to explore what supports that courage, the invisible ingredients, the habits, the mindsets, the support systems, and, you know, some of those lived experiences that really help you feel grounded in your financial world. So Jen, why don't we start with you? I'm just going to go up and down the chain here. So what invisible ingredients, such as, you know, the things that I talked about, habits, mindsets, or supports, or anything else, have really helped you build confidence around money and decision making?
I think it's been surrounding myself with support circles. So I have people that have a lot stronger strengths in accounting. I have no problem reaching out to them. When it came to me setting up my whole QuickBooks, I reached out to a peer who works in a brewery. She is their full-time accountant. She kind of helped me set everything up. And then it was like regular check-ins. So constantly getting in there, doing everything. I try to do everything every 2 weeks to get all my QuickBooks up to date. I'm in my year end, so I get to reconcile everything now. Yay. Because that is one thing I should have been doing all along. But hey, I'm going to do it all in one shot like I did last year. It's funny how that time it's kind of like keep growing, and like it doesn't happen overnight. It's one of those things that just kind of you keep progressing just like a lager. It's not a fast process. It takes a little bit longer. So yeah, and doing it with intention and just remembering to keep doing those check-ins, and honestly having a great group of people around you that can help you with those things has been quite useful for me.
I love that intention and peer supports. Christina, what about you? What invisible ingredients, your habits, your mindsets, your supports have really helped you build confidence around money and decision making?
Well, I'm going to be really honest to start. I've had a bookkeeper from the very start of my business because I knew that I wouldn't have capacity to do all of that side while I understand the numbers. And I have great spreadsheets and I crunch my numbers constantly to make sure that I'm being efficient on my side from, ops costs, sales costs, marketing costs, staffing costs, money coming in, money coming out, all those sorts of things. I brought somebody in who, because know what you know and know what you don't know for me is one of the biggest, one of the biggest pieces of knowing your limitations. So I have had a bookkeeper. I also formed a board with our business, and I have other brains involved around me. So it's not just me making those decisions, and there is a group decisions, and we've also engaged with people outside of that who have been in corporate CFO positions, who are also lending hands, helping us get to the places that we want to get to. But I think the biggest ingredient or the secret ingredient is knowing your limitations and asking the questions and going outside of that comfort zone when you need to do that, and asking for that help.
Yeah, and Christina, that's one of the hardest things that we can do, right? Is to put up our hands and say, I don't know how to do this. I really need some help. So kudos to you, because it's knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know and asking for help, bringing the people in that can help you do that. So kudos to you for saying that. Tanya, what about you? What invisible ingredients have really helped you build and shape your confidence around money and decision making?
It's not invisible. Everybody sees me doing it a lot. It's spreadsheeting.
Oh, so
Honestly,
see, we could have been working
spreadsheeting.
spreadsheets tonight.
You know what? It's empowering to me getting on a spreadsheet. It's trying to understand accounting it's a lot. I wasn't trained with it either. I went to school. I ended up going to a college program to try to learn the basics of accounting. And even then, it wasn't enough. Getting our financial statements from our accountant, going like, what does this mean, and how can I, use this moving forward? So for me, it's always about the future, right? It's the now, of course, but it's always about planning. And if I can't plan because I don't understand the now, so I took a lot of time developing spreadsheets that tie into my accounting statements. I piece together, all the pieces of my business, because winemaking and hospitality, they're all farming. They're what I call different classes, and they're all different industries. And trying to separate them all and understand them all has been challenging. QuickBooks, having the ability to tag a class and all that, has helped a lot. But even being able to look at it as from a silo of each industry and see where we're making money and see where we're not has helped immensely. But again, going back to those spreadsheets, being able to tie in my production, my cost of goods, and plan for it has made huge differences for us and our ability to make conscious financial decisions. It's not about just like, well, maybe. I mean, trust me, there's lots of those too. Lots of those, well, like, let's just go for it. Let's take the risk. We think we have a gut instinct here. But a lot of it is also like, okay, well, let me crunch numbers. And I can now, after years of development, just plug it into a spreadsheet and see the results of that change. And there's always fine tweaking to be done when I do that. But yeah, that's the ingredient, is just time and attention, and as a business owner, it is, there's got to be somebody that's paying attention to the finances for sure and planning for the future.
Christina's in the back are going, yeah, spreadsheets, because I know Christina loves her spreadsheets too. So I love that. And it's true. It's being able to use something that makes sense to you, because accounting is accounting. And when you take an accounting course, it's often very technical and it doesn't really talk about the why or how it impacts your business, right? So it's getting into the nitty gritty of that and it's going, okay, so this is the technical piece, but who cares? So what? How does it affect me in my business? And what happens if X happens? And that's where once we can start to create and develop something that is intuitive to us as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, as the financial person, that's when we can start applying it directly to our business. So love that you're taking those spreadsheets to help you plan, because that's how you can make informed business decisions. So, I mean, there's always going to be some, yeah, let's go for it. Let's see what happens here. But at least there's some notion of, okay, pretty sure this is going to work based on X. Now let's give it a whirl. So love that. Megan, what about you? What invisible ingredients or supports have really helped you build your confidence around money and decision making? Oh, you're on mute, Megan. Sorry.
Not done. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty similar to all the other ladies here. I like to be organized. I feel the most confident when I feel organized. So I have, a calendar. I have a to-do list on my phone. I have a to-do list on my desk on paper that I scribble and no one else can read. I've got a calendar on my desk that's like separate from everything else. So there's a million things going on, but that helps me feel organized and confident. And again, spreadsheets. So one of our most important, most valuable things we have, and I think we started it quite early on, was literally an Excel spreadsheet called the running total. So it had things coming in and out, GST we pay quarterly, and that was always a huge, like, what, we owe $14,000, like, what the hell? So having those things in there, just know it's coming up. And yeah, we've been in business 10 years, so we're even expanding that now. We used to only project maybe like, it wouldn't just be the month, but it would be 3 months, and now it's a year, so we can plan, because we're not in the growing stage anymore, so we kind of just have the maintenance of what we're doing. And I've even gone so far because as a local business, especially in a small community like Whitehorse and the Yukon, tons of organizations come to you looking for sponsorship, whether it's a silent auction item or sponsoring an event that happens once a year. And again, like similar to when we paid ourselves in 3 years, we were able to finally, like, we can say yes to everyone that comes to our door pretty much. But that kind of shot us in the foot a few years ago, because that wasn't really in our spreadsheet. So now I kind of have anticipatory things like that, like, oh, we sponsor that event every year, that's $3,000 in cash and $1,000 in beer, whatever it is. And same with advertising. So I've created these amazing spreadsheets and Google Docs with graphs and pie charts.
Love it.
And I love it.
Speaking my language.
Yeah.
Pivot tables.
Pivot tables. Right. I mean, there's always going to be some form of work that we can do outside of our accounting system, because it's intuitive to us. And that's where, yes, our accounting systems are needed. They are must-haves. But at the end of the day, if we can take the information and put it in a fashion that makes sense to us, and it's not a big make work project, then amazing, right? We do it with intention. We create systems, our spreadsheets. We do some forward planning and really getting ourselves organized, because with organization, you really can create that overall confidence. And it's just those habits and that mindsets that you all talked about. So I love all of that sharing, because there's not one single answer that's the right answer. It's going to be what works for you. And Megan, I'm the same way as you with my to-do list and my calendar. They're just all over the place. And if it's not in my calendar on my to-do list, it's not happening, because I don't remember it anymore. I'd be too old to remember everything. So I love that. Let's talk about making money conversations fun and fearless, because I think that's what we're doing tonight, right? We know at the Finance Cafe that one of the most common barriers to financial wellness is silence. Many of us were raised to believe that money was private or something that we shouldn't talk about unless we already know everything, right? But talking about money is really where the confidence can grow. And when we can make these conversations feel natural and light, we can really hopefully create safety and overall connection. So a question to you guys is, how can we make talking about money feel as natural? Our next brew wine release. What's one practical step maybe women in the industry can take that feels accessible and empowering? And Megan, we're going to kick it off with you.
Yeah, I guess again, just having a handle on things to make yourself feel comfortable, whether that's having that spreadsheet or just knowing what's coming in and out, and you can take those risks and that kind of thing. Yeah, the organization is huge for me. Obviously, I have a partner in the business, so my husband. So having someone just, we can talk, we can literally go for a walk and chat about, oh, we're going to buy this piece of equipment. Well, there's a blizzard happening. We've had many of those things, like buying a canning line was a huge thing. And we work so well together that, I can be a devil's advocate and vice versa. So we can test things. So having, building that confidence, having someone that is a mentor, a family, a partner, a friend, someone who's kind of invested to bounce ideas off of is huge. I'm trying to think if there's any.
Megan, was it always easy for the two of you to talk about money? And especially in the early days when you weren't paying yourselves, things were tight. Was it still easy to talk about money then?
Yeah, we've been together since high school, so we have a long relationship, 25 years, and I'm 42, so a long time. We made decisions to move to the Yukon together. We made the decision to buy a property. We built a garage and lived in it together for 3 years. Then we built a house. Then we started this little brewery that we thought would be a hobby business. And I think also the fact that we started so small, we had to make all these incremental changes all the time. So we were constantly making like decisions on what should we do next? Like, can we make that leap? So we have a lot of practice. And yeah, we spend a lot of time together for the good and bad.
And do you find it as easy to talk to other professionals about money because you've had such good practice talking about it just amongst yourselves?
Yeah, I have a good relationship with a lot of other small businesses, which are
Awesome.
also women owned. There's a cheese shop in town and she's so amazing. And yeah, there's a healthy like small business community here, and can definitely like relate to others.
So it sounds like just talking about it, just getting comfortable talking about it is the starting point. I love that. Yeah. Thanks, Megan. Tanya, what about you? How do you think we can make money feel more natural to talk about as your next wine?
I think it goes back down to, like Megan said, having control and an understanding of what's going on. But even when we didn't feel that way, I think we were always just excited about our product and excited about our potential, even though there was a lot of rough roads and not making money. And we were always just willing to keep spending it on the business because we saw potential. I think that's at the end of the day, just continue believing in why you did this, why did you start this? It's got to get better. There's no way around it now. I mean, we're in this here, and I've always been confident with it, even when I didn't feel it inside, but it's all about, projection, and your employees feel that. And so you never want to give the impression that times are tough when they were. But I don't really know the answer to that. I don't know why I always felt like we always had a future. it just believed in us and I believed in our vision. And we just had to get through those rough roads, those rough years, and keep it reinvesting in the business. We made money, it went right back in to reinvest and make it better. Just make it the best we can be. And someone's going to know. They're going to figure it out soon.
I
And
love this.
we're going to get better at this. And we're going to like figure out how to make money. And I think after 20 years, we have figured it out.
I love that. When we can believe in that, we can talk about it and it becomes more confident as we go. Jen, what about you? How do you think we can make talking about money fun and natural?
Making it social. I know, like, if we're going to talk, like Tim and I, if we ever talk about money, it's usually over dinner and drinks. Both of us are a little bit more relaxed. But I think like normalizing like the entire picture, because you're going to have wins financially and you're going to have losses. And both of them kind of come hand in hand, unfortunately. Would be first to say, like, our brewery's not always been a win. We've lost a lot in this process and taken some significant financial risks. One of them not panning out, but it is what it is. But we did learn a lot from that process. So going into trying to start a space in Calgary, we've definitely taken a lot of those lessons into going into this. I'll give an example. So like, we paid for architects, engineers, and all that jazz for a place in Pincher Creek, and we came out with nothing. And then here in Calgary, despite the fact the city of Calgary really pushing for us to submit our development permit in line with our landlords, I'm refusing because they can't narrow down his permit. So why am I going to spend the money on architects and engineers and bleed myself dry when that doesn't even make sense? So if I hadn't gone through that experience, unfortunately, I probably wouldn't have learned that this time. But yeah, I don't take it lightly. Like, it is definitely, it hurts when you think of it, but I guess for us, it's the light at the end of the tunnel. We'll eventually get there. Like Tanya said, we're in it. I love your optimism. We're in it. We know we do it. We know we make a great product. It's just getting down to the end zone. Here I am throwing out sports analogies. Yay, sports. Cool beans.
Yay, sports. Jen, what I love about that is the lessons that you've learned and continuing to talk about them and learn from them. And one of my great mentors, as long as you take the education. Right? And for me, sometimes I have to pay the tuition 2 or 3 times before I take that education. But hey, we all learn at different spaces, and making it social. Right? We talk a lot about money dates at the Finance Cafe. So yes, take yourself on a money date. Grab a wine or a beer or a coffee and just grab your balance sheet and see what happens. Super fun. Shauna's a nerd. It's okay. Christina, over to you. How can we make money, talking about money, feel as exciting as your next brew?
Well, I know that some people in this call know that I don't have any shame. So I don't really have problems talking about hard things. Our whole brand is about talking about hard things and normalizing and destigmatizing those conversations. I have never hidden from our team when we've been in a hard spot, ever. I've always been, and every Monday morning when we have our team meet, I lay the numbers out. They know what's coming in, what's going out, what sales targets we need to meet, and they have access at no matter what level. There's numbers, and one of the reasons for that is I'm trying to create an organization that empowers people to have that understanding, because we want to be owned. So those people become our business partners. And if we can't empower them within our own business to have full disclosure of what's going on, and I'm not even going to say behind closed doors, because we don't have those financial closed doors in our, that is how I do it, is making sure that is all out on the open. And once again, I'm going to refer to Lynn. We've had hard conversations as board. Last 2023 to 2024, I was in a car accident. I was on disability payments, living in chronic pain. We were down $70,000. Just did our year end. We're only down $30,000 this year. So, once again, and not carrying that shame of like, oh my God, we're down $30,000. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I was like, actually, you know what? That's a huge win. That's a huge win. Tightened up efficiency. Here is where we did it. I've got ideas to bring us back into the black, and we're in recovery mode now. And I talk about that with everyone, that piece, and say, well, I haven't failed. We're still going. And also, as you said, sometimes you've got to pay the tuition. Right. And then, but are you taking that education? But once again, for us, it's having that full disclosure with everybody in your team. So everybody knows where everything is at and what you need to do and the constraints within that you need to work with to make the machine run.
I love this, right? It's normalizing and destigmatizing, and that's look different for everybody. But I think the key thing there is normalizing it. Like, let's talk about it. We can't hide behind a wall, and we share as much as we want to share with our team and with others. And that's where we can really start to normalize those conversations, that we can really start to make talking about money just feeling natural. Like, it's okay. Yeah, I lost money this year, but this is actually what I learned, and we were actually more efficient this year, and this happened, and yeah, I spent a bunch of money on architecture fees, and I lost it, but I learned this go around that I'm not paying for those upfront until this and this and this happens. So it's taking that tuition and learning from it. I love all of that. So I want to ask the four of you a quick question that I didn't preface you with. So if your financial mindset was a beer or wine style, what would it be today? Maybe something bold, something balanced, something still fermenting. And I'm going to start with Meghan. You're up. I need to find.
Okay,
there
I'm
you are.
unmuted.
There you go. Perfect.
I think because we were so young and naive, and we took some big risks early on. Definitely an IPA. That's literally why we started breweries, because we wanted to drink delicious IPAs and we could not get them here. That sounds pretty basic, because most breweries, or most brewers, I guess, might have started with that. But yeah, West Coast IPA, done.
Love it. Tanya, what about you?
Yeah, we definitely bit off more than we could chew at the beginning. And so I would say we were equivalent to like a brand new fermented red with just like rough, raw tannins. It was really hard to chew into that. Leaves a bitter aftertaste for sure, but with time it mellowed out, and we're going into the nice and easy right now. Let's not trying to finally, this is the first year where we're like, let's not maybe spend everything on the business and take it easy. So we'll see, because we always find a project and we always find a reason. But I'm hoping this year will be balanced and smooth and easy drinking.
Balanced, smooth, and easy. Love it. Jen, what about you?
I'm gonna go with our first beer, baby. I'm gonna go with a lager. It's definitely been a process. It takes time, a lot of love and conditioning. And yeah, I would just go with that, because it's not, finances has one of been one of those things that I said I knew out of the gates. I'm still learning. I'm constantly learning. And yeah, lagers take some time and some love, and that's what I'm giving myself. So that's it.
Love it. Christina.
I'm going to go with a Saison. Low Play-Doh, not a lot left over, sugars and proteins left over, dry AF. Also a little exotic and nuanced and complex because we've had to do it in a very different way than most people, because I haven't had the access to the traditional financing, don't own a home, no family here, immigrant, blah, 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 blah. So there's a lot of complexity and a lot of nuance, but definitely dry AF.
I know complex, so I'm gonna stick with complex, not dry AF. Thank you all for enlightening me there, because I think that was super fun. So I think we're almost at time, and I want to be mindful of everybody's time, and hopefully we have some questions from our audience. But I just want to wrap up with some of the 3 takeaways that I really got out of the 4 of you tonight, and thank you for this. So number 1, track your flow. We all love spreadsheets, right? Know what's coming in, what's going out, in a way that feels easy for you to track, right? In a way that you understand. It doesn't have to be something that comes out of your accounting system. It could be taking that and putting it in a fashion that makes sense for you. Number 2, let's talk about this. Let's normalize these conversations. Let's, take any tuition, just pay the tuition, take the education, and let's give ourselves some love and really think about intentionally putting some effort into talking about money. It's hard, but with every step forward, we make small improvements. And number 3, take one small action that feels accessible and meaningful to you. Right? Maybe that's reviewing your pricing, checking one number, asking one question that you've been hesitant to ask of your accountant, bookkeeper, financial advisor, the other entrepreneur down the street, because small steps really do build confidence. So I really want to thank the 4 of you, your wisdom and your laugh with us tonight. And thank you to Tammy and to Pink Boots, and to you, the Pink Boots community, for showing up tonight. And just leaving you some parting words. Financial wellness is not about perfection. God, we are not perfect. We are all just trying to figure things out. I've heard a couple of you say that, financial literacy or financial knowledge is in my wheelhouse. I've been an accountant for 30 years, 25, 30 years. And I'm still learning every day. I learn something from every entrepreneur that I work with. So it's a continuous process, and we're just all trying to learn and figure it out and be the best that we can be. So here's to thriving businesses, steady confidence, and money conversations that feel honest, fearless, inclusive, and possible. Thanks, everyone. Tammy, I'll pass it back to you. Hopefully there's some questions. If anybody else, if our panelists have anything else to add, happy to stop talking.
Well, I learned a lot about you ladies. I work with Tanya almost every day, so I know about her spreadsheets. And I also was lucky enough, 2 years ago, I don't remember, but Meghan was my mentor through our mentorship program. So she tried to help me learn about business, and I'm still trying to learn. So I appreciate the information that you all gave, and I liked hearing about your beer and wine styles, because that was a fun question. Are there any questions from our audience? I can give you a second if you want to put something in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand. And while we're doing that, I will also mention, because I forgot to do it before, that Shauna and the Finance Cafe is actually one of our sponsors for Pink Boots Canada. And so she sponsors a few of our scholarships. So like our book packs and things like that. So we are able to continue educating our members. So we have a couple of those that were just given out. And then we have some new scholarships that are coming up before the end of the year. So check those out. Yes, you can follow her on Finance Cafe, the Finance Cafe official, and check out her website. Let's see. I don't know, Lundy, if I know you're there somewhere. Is there anything else you wanted to add or throw out there?
I'm here. Thank you. Thank you all. This was amazing. I suck at finances, and I have to kind of learn how to do it right now because we don't have a finance person on the board. So I'm having to learn spreadsheets, and I congratulate all of you for actually using them because they're challenging. Thank you, Shauna. Yeah, amazing. And I love your questions. They're just great.
Yeah, I am not the spreadsheet bill payer finance person in my household. So, Nancy had a really good question. So she's wondering, what are the 2 or 3 numbers or ratios that you frequently track or that you track the most closely? Like certain things that
Can
you...
I potentially answer that as somebody who helps other people do what it is that I do? One of the things when I go into other people's businesses is a lot of people actually don't track their cost of goods, cost of sales, logistics, and understanding per piece what that last can costs, and knowing that down, the per liter, per hectoliter, per ounce, knowing like from a nuanced perspective every single piece that goes into that finished product to get it from the brewery to the consumer, and having every single number of that is probably the one that you need to track most and update the most as well, coming through. I think that's probably the biggest one. Then, of course, as well, I'd having an understanding of the cash flow coming in and out,
Mm-hmm.
and that planning.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a thought, or is it the same answer? Yeah.
I would agree with that. The cost of goods is really important because it helps you develop your future plans and really your cost of your product, how much you should be selling it for. I found one thing that's really helped me develop my cost of goods is actually like software that, you input your movements, you input your purchases and what goes into every single bottle of wine. For me now, I have a really good, I used to spend so much time on bill of materials and trying to find all the ingredients and develop a cost. It's painstaking, but having a software that, you're putting every step you make in and all your cost of your products individually in, and it creates that cost of good for you has for the investment has been a huge time saver and definitely worth it. And there's some, I mean, at least on the winemaking side, it was a very reasonable cost. It was like $1,000 a year. I think now it's at 1,500 or something. It's not a lot of money when you look at the whole business and how much time it saved me.
Mm-hmm.
Tanya, can you share what that software is called?
You're still muted, Tanya.
Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, Tanya, you're muted.
I muted myself. Sorry, it's called Process to Wine. It is a wine specific software.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing.
Has anyone ever heard of something similar like that for the brewing industry? I feel like
Ecos.
Yeah. Do you use Ecos, Christina?
No, it's way too expensive.
Yeah, and it's...
No, everything I do is manual. I also really like the fact that I do it manually, and yes, it does take a little bit more time, but I feel like I have a lot more control over it, and it's a lot more cognitive for me, because, and it's the same like when I'm scaling up recipes, I can do it in a program, but also I have a spreadsheet for scaling recipes up where I have all of my calculations done, and I can manually and individually swap the numbers around. It's kind of like the difference for me between driving an automatic car and driving a stick or driving a manual car. I prefer to drive a manual car. I feel a lot more in control. I know how the engine's working. I can feel it a lot better. So for me, because I'm kinesthetic in the way that I learn and do things, I like to have that manual, be able to manually manipulate and have that top of mind, front of face piece to what it is that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Nancy's the OG here. She says she makes her students learn everything with a pen and paper, and then they move to XhAle so that they can understand like programs such as Ecos. Yeah, I feel like we talked about with everything, if you don't, well, like Tanya said, if you don't know what's happening right now, how do you know what's happening in the future? And if you don't understand what you're inputting into Ecos or anything, which I find is a very not super user-friendly software anyway. But if you don't know what they're asking for, then it's not really going to be very helpful. Britt wants to know, she's curious about everyone's method for prepping for the next fiscal year, such as your budget for growth, new equipment, or especially right now, ingredient price changes, tariffs, etc. Do you have any tips or tricks?
So I'm going to use a swear word here. On a lot of my spreadsheets, on all of my my cost outs, I have what I call a 20% fuck up margin. And that hopefully will cushion what's coming next. Also, being connected to news, understanding what's happening across the border, understanding what's happening from a geopolitical standpoint, know how the stocks are moving. All of these things affect our business. So if we don't actually open our eyes to those sorts of things and sit there, and once, I'm a nerd. So if we don't have a handle on what those sorts of things, geopolitical climates affect our fuel surcharges. They affect our other logistics costs. They affect our aluminium. They affect our shipping. They affect so many things going on. So that's one of the pieces. But, to be able to create that cushion is I pretty much put a 25% of this could go let's just estimate an extra 25%. If we fit in under that, that's amazing. But we're going to estimate at this, and anything, if we hit, even if this becomes a cost neutral, then we're still going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any thoughts? Britt says she likes the name of your margin.
Margin.
We have another question. Would be glad to hear any comments on long-term financial planning / goal setting.
My goal is to go to a tap room in a brewery.
What's that? You go to a tap room?
I said my goal is to have a tap room / brewery.
Okay.
Someday.
Yeah, probably. I think these few months here between November and end of January is generally when a lot of that planning gets done. Maris, I think you're probably also asking maybe what's our goal setting. Our goal setting is to go into a pretty big financial community financial call out, and potentially look at banks for a Canadian small business financing loan to also build out and or take over a space. Not too sure what it looks like yet, but trying to be creative with the current constraints in our economic market, and also in and around city and council too, which I don't want to trigger you there, Jen.
And Maris, I think, and I don't know if you're asking about the panelists' goal setting strategies or just strategies in general, but I think one of the things that we talk a lot about at the Finance Cafe is making sure that any goal setting that you're doing with your business really ties into your personal goal setting as well. Because although they're independent, they are one and the same. Usually your business is supporting your personal lifestyle. So making sure that you're not treating them independently, that anything that you're thinking personally, you're also working it into your business plan. And Brett, I just want to comment on a method for prepping next year's fiscal year budget. I'm sure everybody on the call knows this, but I think one of the biggest ways, the easiest ways that you can start your budget is just print off your profit and loss for this year. Just have a look at it and say, look, am I happy with this? Is this good? Is this where I want to be? Great. Or do I maybe want to grow 10%? Do I know that some of my prices are increasing, like Christina talked about, right? Understanding where those price points are going. So we have a starting point with our financial system, with our profit and loss, our income statement, which shows our revenue and expenses. Start there. Let's not make it any harder than it needs to be on us to say, okay, this is where the last year was. Now I have a starting point.
does anyone feel like, because we're talking about planning and goal setting, and especially with like everything that's happening below us right now, country-wise, I mean, do any of you feel like it's hard to plan because you don't know what's happening with, you know, cost of goods or import export or things like that, or do you just sort of keep going and then take it as it comes?
I know this is going to sound weird, but it's definitely, you know, from somebody who started their business in COVID. I never had a normal year. I literally have never had a normal year. So I don't know if that kind of affects my perception, or my kind of feeling about that. I feel for myself, because I do have a finger on the button and looking, I'm always constantly looking at those things daily. I feel like it's a little bit more like we kind of have a little bit more predictability of inconsistency from across the border. So you plan for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, we already saw these aluminium tariffs happen in 2016. I already lived through that when I was working at another brewery. So like we've already seen what that looks like, and we could use that. Like, I've used that knowledge and that experience from Trump 2.1.0.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've applied that over here at 2.0 and go, okay, well, what did we do then? And then what can we do now? And how do we potentially do that differently? Or how can we navigate that differently in the ecosystems that we're in? I mean, we purchased all our aluminium at the start of the year. Thanks, Lynn, once again, that gave us the ability to be able to do that. And we have some community partners where we could store those cans.
Mm-hmm.
So just once again, creating some of that consistency for yourself, if you have the ability to be able to do it, but looking ahead of like, well, this could potentially change. So how do we then safeguard ourselves for the future? And that is a privilege that we had the ability to be able to do that, which gave us, I literally knew what the cost of my cans were for the whole entire year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just creating that consistency for yourself, controlling what you can control, and then putting in those barriers of like, we kind of don't know, but if I put this cushion in, then I can probably create some kind of semblance of consistency.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
I don't know if that answers what you were asking.
I think so, because I mean, well, like you said, like nobody knows what's going to happen, but we know something's going to happen. So like you just try to plan for, you know, the worst, I guess, you know, and hope for the best, prepare for the worst.
Yeah, I think ultimately every business needs to plan for the worst and have a risk, you know, level that they can take. You know, there's always going to be risk. There's risk every year. And yeah, it feels extra volatile right now, but yeah, just don't over leverage. And I think it's always like that though, no matter what, there's always going to be a chance. So just don't go too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't buy that truckload of cans. Buy the if you're doing something new, maybe buy 5,000 to start and see how it goes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We're like, we started ordering things, you know, for 3 months at a time, you know, getting your malts, because we built a warehouse to kind of house more stock for the future, because also we're so isolated that there's kind of two highways that turn into one to get here. So we've had floods, we've had wildfires that close the highways, and then you don't have your ingredients for the brew, and then what are you doing with your staff, all that kind of stuff. So just planning ahead has really helped. And yeah, we built a warehouse. We get a truckload of cans at a time, so that lasts us 3 months. You know, tons of malt just having in the warehouse ready. It's been really helpful for sure. Just stock up.
You're like doomsday prepping, Megan.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a lot more inconsistencies with weather and climate change, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I don't see any other questions. So if there are not any other questions, which is fine because we had some really great ones, we can just end it here, and I will say thank you to our panelists for being here and sharing your expertise. And maybe you don't feel like an expert, but you definitely know more than probably anyone else that was attending tonight. And we want to thank Shauna again for helping facilitate this and being one of our continued sponsors. If anyone who's watching wants to learn more about finance accounting, get in touch with her. If any of our panelists would like to volunteer for the Pink Boots Board, we could always use a finance person. So I'll just say that. But yeah, thank you, and I will say good night.
Good night. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it.